Hey, this is Dr. Terri Sprouse, the Less Stressed Doc, and I want to welcome you to the Happiness Highway. This is a podcast where we're sitting here to try to get you to be in your happy place and then get rid of all the crap that's keeping you from being in your happy place. And today we have a special guest. Her name's Shirl Dailey. Hey, Shirl, thank you for coming with us.
Thanks for having me.
Right, and I also have my wife, Terri. She's going to be our co-host. Yay.
Drive on Happiness Highway.
So Shirl is here today. She's a nurse who's worked in corrections facilities. She's worked in home care, but she spent a lot of her time working in long-term care, which is where I got to meet you. So Shirl's had some tragedy in her life. One of the things she's here to talk about is even if you've had something bad happen to you, how you can maintain to be in your happy place. So Shirl, how are you doing today?
It's a good day.
Yeah.
It's a good day.
I'm going to let you tell the story of what happened.
Nurses were mandated to take the COVID shot, and I took the COVID shot, and the first one put me in the hospital, and I still had to have the second one, and I lost my leg. It caused blood clots, which is pretty common for some people with the COVID shot, and I lost my leg. I had 7 surgeries in a week, and yeah, life-changing. Life was very, very good, and now life is very, very unique.
Yeah. So how long ago was that?
2.5 years.
Okay. So when it first happened, tell me what was going through your head.
My kids. I had 2 19-year-old kids in college. When I knew what was going on, I called them into the bathroom and I had to tell my kids everything that they needed to know because I thought I was going to die. So that was very unique.
Wow, that was scary.
Yeah, and then they were very brave. They did good. Then I was off to the hospital. I was there for a very short period of time and they knocked me out for 4 days, and then I was off to another hospital, Penn, incredible hospital, and they saved my life and they took my leg off, and so we start new.
Wait, so what made you think you were going to die?
Because I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
And I saw what was going on, and I saw how quickly it happened, and I felt my body failing quickly. So I knew it was extremely serious.
As a mom, did you ever have that kind of conversation with your kid?
Not particularly for me, but when my prior husband passed away, I had to make the phone. I had to give them the let's sit down and have a serious conversation. I mean, Mitch was away at college. He was at Salisbury, and I said, "You need to come home now." And I couldn't tell him why. I mean, it was already disturbing enough, the tone of my voice, that you had to come home now. He was in college, and Adam was in high school.
You might want to tell people, the audience, what you were talking about. Like, I'm not sure they know that story.
Oh, so prior to me being married to Dr. Terri Sprouse, I was married to Joe, and Joe had a heart failure, unexpected heart failure, died immediately, and it was a shock because we didn't even know he had a heart condition. So it was a shock to all of us when we had that tragic turn of events.
Yeah. So these are really hard conversations to have.
Very hard, telling them where all the paperwork was and what accounts to get into, and I made them all write it down, and who to call first, who to call second. We didn't really have anybody, it was just me and my children.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a backup team or anything.
We talked about that in one of the other episodes of that knockbox.
Yeah.
We talked about. A knockbox is where you have like all that information in one place, so if something happens to you, it's already put in there.
Yep.
Like your passcodes and all the other stuff.
It was all in one place, locked up. Yep.
And knockbox stands for NOK, next of kin. It's not knock knock, who's there?
All right, so now you're in the hospital. They tell you that you're gonna have to get your leg taken off.
I think I was in shock. I didn't even shed a tear until they were taking me in for the first amputation. I'm sorry. When they were taking me in, I was getting emotional because I wanted to see my kids one last time. So they brought my kids down so I could see them, and the look on their face.
Okay, you got this.
The look on their face was just devastating because I thought I waited 20 years for these kids and now look what I've done to them.
You're telling me that you were worried about them, not yourself?
Yes, I waited 20 years for those kids. You know, I've told you my children were adopted and they were my life. They were my everything, and all I could think of, I'm leaving them alone in this world. So going in, once I kissed my kids, you know, my son stood and prayed with me. When I came out, they already told me, when I came out after they amputated my foot, they already said that they're probably going to have to go back in and take the rest of the leg, but they're going to wait and see. And the next day they did. And I woke up that morning after they had taken my leg off, and I decided that life was going to be different and I had to deal with it. And I had to talk to myself like I would talk to my patients and tell them all the wonderful things that are left in their life And it's okay to be sad and it's okay to cry, but you need to get off your ass and get on with life. You can't dwell in it, you can't live in it, because then you're just dead.
Yeah. So this is what you tell your patients?
That's what I tell my patients. And that's what I had to tell myself.
I always find as a doctor, right, you're used to giving advice to people. And, you know, one of my lines is like, do as I say, not as I do. But sometimes you have to do as you say, right? So
that's right.
That's what it sounds like here.
And I had to do that.
Yeah.
And it was okay. Nighttime was the hardest. And the sun went down and the sadness came.
You're in shock. You find out your leg's gone. Now you're home. Now things have healed up.
Yeah.
But
after a month. Yeah, you stay there for about a month. I was in hospital and rehab for about a month.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes.
So did you have your prosthesis then?
No, they don't really tell you anything. They come in and they measure you, and all they say is somebody will be by to let you know about a leg, and then they show up with a leg one day and put it on, and you have to come down and they've got to check it out. They don't tell you all the nice little things like you're going to fall off the toilet seat. That's always a fun fact.
You told me this, and
yes.
I'm like, you know, I'm a doctor. I'm like, yeah, I never knew that.
Fun
myself,
facts,
right?
yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
Yes, your ass will fall right off the toilet seat because this is 20 pounds, and if you lean to the side, it's quite interesting. And they don't tell you anything, nothing.
Yeah. So one of the things that you said you're getting ready to do is start your own podcast.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
It's going to be called Missing Parts. I wanted to name it Missing Parts originally for this, and then I started talking to so many people out there that were missing parts also. And it wasn't necessarily a leg. It was like a family that I know that lost a relative, the dad in the family, to drugs. I know a woman who lost her daughter to drugs.
Yeah, so you were mentioning
There's
that. I'm
many
like, yeah,
types
so
of
the
missing
part
parts,
isn't just your
yes.
body part, it could be part of your family.
Exactly,
Yeah.
missing your heart. I mean, my daughter moved out after this happened, and that was my best friend. And, you know, I felt like I lost my life all over again.
Yeah.
So.
Really?
Yeah.
See now, like you have a whole different attitude. Like when your kids went to college, like, but one of my friends is, you know, worried that she's an empty nester, and she's like, she's always been a mom, and so now she can't be a mom, and so she's really upset about it.
Yeah.
But you had a whole different attitude about how that went.
Yeah, my philosophy was to be a good parent, I had to make myself as obsolete as early as possible. Problem is now I'm obsolete and they're all off having a life, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, let's.
Right, what about you
Can
now?
I come visit the grandkids?
Yeah.
We're too busy. I'm like,
So she just kind of left because she couldn't deal with things, and she had to go do her and go live her life, you know, and my son stayed, and yeah.
So you said they were both in college, but
They were both in college.
So they finished now?
They were both 19. So my daughter, I believe, graduates in several months, you know, I mean, either early 2025 or the end of this year. I don't get to see her much. And my son just went back to school. After this happened, he dropped out of school, which broke my heart because he thought he was going to have to support the family. I said, son, you never met your mother, because my went right back to work. As soon as I got home, I started the paperwork to go back to work. I'm a nurse, I have a mortgage, and I still have kids in this house, and I'm going to raise them right. So he just now got back to college. I'm very proud of him.
Good for him.
Yeah.
So how long after the operation did you end up going back to work?
About a month and a half.
That's it?
Let's see. That's when we started the paperwork. So I was out for a month, a little more than a month, and then I went home and I took therapy for a couple of weeks, and then I started the paperwork to go right back to work. It was a total of 3.5 months because of the back and forth. You know, it takes a lot to go back to work when something like this happens.
And logistically, it's working okay?
Well, I had a walker and I had a little buggy at work, but I've upgraded to a rollator and it's working out great.
Yeah, they're nice actually.
Yeah, they are. You can put stuff on it, you sit your on it when you need to, it's all good. Yeah.
I had a couple of patients that had strokes, and I would take them to like a football game, and they just loved it. But I got some advantage too, right? Because you get handicapped parking and all that sort of stuff, right? So there are some advantages. It's not all bad, right? That brings up an interesting point, right? So what I see here is that people throw out this term acceptance, where they go, hey, you just got to accept where you're at. And, you know, I find that word is not really well defined. So I'm going to ask you, like, if I said to you, what does acceptance mean? Tell me what you think that means.
It's accepting my new body. You know, I have to accept my new body, and I have to find different things, because I had great legs. I mean, and I had cute little feet. And the other one was the cute one. It had a little wishbone scar. I loved it. But now I have one leg, and I've gained 20 pounds, and my hair fell out. But
yeah, that was the part that I didn't.
Right.
You told me this, and I'm like, wait, what?
It
Why
fell
would your
out.
leg
They
fall
say
out?
because of stress, but I mean, look at this. you know? I mean, this is the hair I had when I was 16, thank you, Jesus. It grew back fabulous. So there's always a blessing, and you have to find the blessing. And sometimes in your sadness, you have to dig deep to find the blessing because it just doesn't feel like anything is there. Yeah, you just have to find the blessing. Like I gained 20 pounds, it's all good. Can't see it past the... We're fabulous up here, it's all good to go. You know, you gotta find the good stuff. The hair's fabulous. Everybody's like, cut the hair, you look like a poodle. Go away. Yeah. I love the hair. It's my hair, it grew back, and I'm gonna, you know, own it. This is my new body, and I'm gonna own it any way I have to.
And that's kind of what I talk about. So to me, acceptance is where, this is where you were, okay? And you're at a different place now. And when people have that gap, that's where they feel sadness and they feel lost. And then they're upset and they're mad and they're, you know, all the,
yes.
It's all the things that go into the 5 stages of grief and things like that, right? So what I found is that grief isn't just for losing a loved one. It has to do with losing anything, right? And so when you've lost a leg, you know, you were here when you had 2 legs and now you're here with 1 leg. And that difference, that loss, can be really sad, can make you angry, can make you deny it, whatever. So to me, acceptance means this doesn't exist anymore. This is who I am now. And that's where, to me, what acceptance means. Like, this is where I am. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there.
That's right.
It just means, hey, this is where I'm starting, and now I have to see what can I do from there.
Right.
And I think from what you're telling me, that's exactly what you've done. You're like, okay, I used to be a 2-leg person, now I'm a 1-leg person with a prosthesis, and what can I do to get better from there? I can go back to work. I can accentuate my boobs, right? I mean, it's like, right, I got my nice hair, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, so now you're going, okay, I'm starting here, but now I can go and get better.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that when I had to stop playing softball because of a neck injury, that I was going through a grieving process.
Yes, no, absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and
Something you loved is now missing.
something I love is now missing, and it was softball. But now I have pickleball.
Yeah, fortunately. So one of the things that you did was you came to one of my seminars, and I think you told me that it had some impact on your life. So tell me how that did.
So it's the positivity, you know, that you have to find the positive growth in it. And I needed to do that. And we had several conversations about that, as we did when we worked together. I had to find the positive in all of it, you know? Like the positive was, I've decided I'm going back to get my RN. So I need to pursue that. Another positive, you know, like I said, my hair grew back, it's fabulous. You know, I've gained 20 pounds. Can't see it from up here, you know? It's great, you just have to find the positive. And it's hard as hell, because you get up in the morning and you don't want to do a damn thing. And you certainly don't want to get up and try to put a boot on a prosthetic that takes 25 minutes to do. It took me 2 shoe horns, I broke one. I'm not worried about it, they're free. I mean, you have to put your leg on. So I have conditioned myself to do it at night before I go to bed. So you have to find the positive in it. And there's always something positive. I've heard people say there's nothing positive there. Yes, there is. You just have to open your eyes. You know you have to go on. That's not an option. There's no option out of it. You have to go on. So you need to find the positive in it. And I feel like I've found a lot of positive in it. I've started cooking again. My son said, in the past year, he's seen a lot of positive changes in me. I've gotten to meet a lot of other people with prosthetics. They've taught me a lot. I feel like I've taught them some things. It's a whole new world out there that we had no idea existed, because these are people that have been forgotten. So I think that, you know, helping them find the positive, and if you're on the inside looking out, you cannot see your positive. But if someone says to you, hey, you got 1 fabulous leg left, let's start an OnlyFans page for you. You know, let's make you some money.
I've seen this a lot where people
I'm getting ready
take
to do
something
it.
that was bad to them and then turn it into a positive by helping other people that have been in that situation.
Yeah.
So as I'm listening to you, you're teaching me something. I mean, I've seen a lot of patients that have amputations, but I'm like, I didn't know about toilet seats, and I didn't know about it took 25 minutes to put your shoe on.
And I didn't know people had a foot fetish, and I still have 1 really cute foot left. So we're gonna put that in some whipped cream, and we're gonna call it a day and make some money. Just saying.
Yeah. One place of your happy place, one of those rooms is called gratitude. And so sometimes, and I think you're alluding to this, is when you're in that dark place and you're scared and you're not even sure you're gonna survive all this, having gratitude isn't always so easy.
No.
But you found a way.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 60 years old and you got 1 leg now,
Wait, you're 60 years old?
I'm 60.
Seriously?
I turned 60 in
I
January.
have all these beautiful women next to me that
Yeah.
are like, wait, seriously? Golly.
And you haven't dated in 10 years.
She brought that up, right? So guys,
Yes. Okay,
here
it's
you
free. Go ahead.
Here you go.
And that's something else my son and I were talking about. It's time to get out there and it's time to start dating. One leg does not make me any less of a person.
Exactly.
I'm still a human being. I'm still a woman. As long as you like my dogs, we can talk.
And the other thing that I've seen with gratitude is, and I think this is where religion comes in, sometimes it's hard to see where the big picture is. So we talk about in religion and God, we're like, okay, this bad thing has happened to me, and here's the word we use, God must have a plan for me. And like whatever that plan is, I'm not so sure. It seems bad right now, but maybe not, right? So there's a story that my daughter told me where, you know, this guy, his son breaks his leg, and he's really upset about it, but then the next day a recruiter comes to take him to a war, and he goes, oh, he can't go because he's got a broken leg, and you're like, oh, okay, so that bad thing turned out to be a good thing. And I'm not saying this has been a great thing for you, but it's certainly what I've heard from you is you've been able to take the bad thing and turn it into a positive thing in terms of helping other people that have had this, so they don't have to go through that same loneliness and despair. You know, they don't know the details, and because I'm a doctor, and I'm like, I didn't know all these details, and it's like you need somebody who live like
Who's
here's what
living it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I learned
You
that
have to have somebody who's living
I've
it.
lived with enough women that are pregnant that I go, oh, okay, here's what pregnancy is, but it's not the same until you are pregnant, right?
Yeah.
And so when I had my appendix taken out, like it used to be like, oh, you have your appendix, you had like a little lot. Now, and after I have my appendix taken, oh man, you had your appendix taken out.
Yeah.
So, but that's
so that,
I think that's where your podcast is going to go, right?
It is going to go there. We're going to do at least one podcast a month just strictly for amputees. I think it's important because we're not told anything. There's no book. There is no book for it. I love the physical therapists that I've worked with in the facilities, but I just feel like they don't know. Like I had asked, should I go to a rollator? And I got, no, your balance isn't really good. Good Lord, when I went to a rollator, I could walk, like stay in motion, and I felt human again, you know? So I did it on my own, screw them. Nobody has any idea what it's like to put a sleeve on. And if you have excess skin, you know, the simplest of things, when you're putting a sleeve on, it's a struggle. You're trying to shove a 9-inch stump with excess skin in a silicone or whatever the hell it's made out of, on your leg, and you're pulling and you're struggling.
Tell them what a sleeve is. They don't know what that is.
Okay, when you have a prosthetic, you have to put a sleeve over your stump. I should have worn a dress so I could actually show it to you. You put the sleeve on, and then mine has a ring around it here, and then I put my leg on over top of it, and the ring around it is made of a silicone thing too, and then I push this button, and this button slides it on, and it sucks my leg on. Now, if it's humid, like, don't go to the Peach Festival when it's 98 degrees because your leg will fall off while you're walking.
Oh, no.
And you either have to have a sense of humor about it or stand there and cry. I choose to go, man down, can I get some help here? And people are like, oh, yeah, sure. You know, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Listen, it's a struggle, but it is so funny. It really is.
It can be funny. If you, that's my book, Mindset Matters.
Yes.
That it really does matter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you could sit there and cry, or you can laugh about it.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I come from.
You've got to find humor. Like, I was going out every other Friday night with the people from work, and they were like, sure, I'll have another drink. I said, listen, if I have another drink, y'all are going to have a gait belt, because I can't walk by myself if I have 2 drinks, so somebody's going to have to hold on to me. So now that's a gait belt is something that they put around people when they're walking them in physical therapy. And that's the truth, you know? I mean, you need to be honest with the people around you. That is very important. Don't fake your way through it. Tell them what you're thinking, and be there for them too, because your family that is around you, it's very important to listen to them. They are grieving too. You're not the only one in this. Your kids are in it with you. Your mom is in it with you. Your best friend. Do not shut these people out. They're there for a reason. God gives you a sisterhood, in my case, that is phenomenal. And you have to utilize these people because they've all got their own outlook. And sometimes it's okay for them to say, get off your ass and get the hell out of the bed. It's Saturday and noon, we're not dwelling in this. That's okay too.
No, that's actually a really good point. So when we were talking about loss, you're right. It's not you had a loss, but the people
It's
around
everybody.
you have lost a normal mom and have
Yes.
lost your mom who can run and play games with me.
And go to the
Right.
5Ks every weekend. Every weekend we would do a 5K. And I'm going to be doing it again, me and my rollator, until I get a new leg. This leg is dead. It's been dead for 6 months.
What's that mean?
Well, you plug it in, and the guy I got the
Plug
leg
it in.
off of.
What? What's that mean?
So you have to plug it in at night, and it has a chip in it, and it reads how you walk. It's supposed to anyway. I found out the hard way that this leg is a guinea pig leg because I tried to get another plug for it, and the guy said, well, I might have one. He said it was a specialty leg. People do not fall for that. It means you're a guinea pig. So I've had a dead 20-pound leg here for months and months. So I'm hoping to get a new one, C leg, hopefully. There's about 1,000 different legs out there.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah,
I did
there are
not
a
know
lot.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm
Different
trying to get
materials,
one
different-
that's
yeah.
going to help me walk independently because that's my goal. I want to dance again. I just want to dance again. You know, if I would have known the last time I danced was the last time I was going to dance, I would have danced all night long. It's just the way it is, you know? Education is very important, very important. And I think that we need to get it out there. And this is part of it. So I
Yeah,
thank
no,
you for giving
agree.
me the
Yeah,
forum to
no.
do that.
I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing. I can see that there's some difficulty still.
Always.
But your mindset, your attitude, your gratitude, the way you're approaching it as this is a humorous thing, not a sad thing, and learn to accept the situation for what it is, and then make the best of what you got, right? Thank you so much for coming by. It was really nice to have you here. I hope your podcast gets started soon because I'm sitting here going, like, you know, I think I should know a lot of this stuff, and I don't know any of this stuff. So you just taught me a whole lot of stuff today. So I hope you as the audience, you learned something today too, because this is good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming by. So thank you for coming by the Happiness Highway. Spend some time in your happy place. Figure out even if you're in a bad place, there's a way to make it better. You can have some gratitude. You can look at the big picture. You can take where you are now and say, hey, this is just where I am and I gotta move on. How can I get better? How can I help the people that are in this situation with me? Maybe there's some things you can do that will then enhance your life. I find that people giving is another part of your happy place. And I think where you're at is you're getting to give to somebody. You're giving them the information that you had to learn the hard way, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're trying to make it easier for them. So this has been a great episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I want you to spend time in your happy place. Thank you for coming here today. Cheryl, thank you so much for being here. And Terry, thank you for much of your insights. So I have a website, it's thelessstresseddoc.com, and an email if you want to get in touch with me, it's lessstresseddoc@gmail.com. Thanks for coming.
Drive on happy.